Welcome to the Paper Snob. This is Tara. Today I'm working on Scraplift Crafternoon. This is a weekly hop that I host here on my channel. I have a nice, wonderful group of ladies who scrap along with me. I call them my Scraplift Crafternoon tribe. There are now 11 of us, and those of us who are participating this week, our videos will be linked below in the playlist that I create each week for this hop. This week we are scraplifting one of our own because it is her birthday month. Happy birthday, Kristen. I'm looking forward to scraplifting this layout. Mine's going to look a little different, but I'm going to follow her layout as closely as possible. So let's look at the product that I have chosen. I have pulled out my Paige Evans Bungalow Lane. I think 3 full sheets of pattern paper left. Here's 2 of them. Some scraps. I have a color cast design acrylic title and some of her wood veneer, as well as the Bungalow Lane florals, and then some scraps and stickers, a charm, the puffy stickers, some phrase stickers. I have a tag on here as well, so that will help me create a title and a place to journal. And this is the photo that I'm using. These photos were taken in May while my husband was on leave. This is one of 15 that I have, and so I'm going to go ahead and put this one on this page. I adore this photo. It's a very sweet photo. And here is my circular element that I am going to be using. So I cut this with my Cameo. I am going to tell you that this cut file was a pain in the neck. My Cameo did not like it, and I think I've cut it one other time in a smaller version, like this big, and it didn't like it then either, and it was even a different machine. So I don't know if there's something wrong with this cut file or what the deal was, but it really was irritating when I was trying to get it done. So I went ahead and I cut it. It's a 2-part, as you can see. I cut it and then I went ahead and assembled it and glued it down before I went to bed last night, so that most of it would be adhered and it would be dry, so that when I go to cut it apart, I don't mess up any of the lines. So I'm gonna pause, we're gonna get started, and I'll be right back. All right, we're gonna go ahead and pull these branding strips off of both of these papers. I'm gonna start with the background, the main background. I'm gonna frame this, of course, with the floral piece, and you're gonna get to see me make a huge mistake when I make the frame, but I'll fix it right here on camera. So typically when you gut a paper, I want it to have an inch margin. So you push it in to the inch mark and then you cut from 1 to 11. And I did that great on the first 2 cuts, but look, on the next 2, on this cut, I realized that I didn't push it in the full 1 inch. So I'm gonna backtrack and I'm gonna go ahead and fix that. But that cut line will be right where the background goes. So what I will do is I will flip over my frame and I'll use my handy dandy washi tape that I keep on this roll, and I'll tape that down so that it doesn't separate while I'm creating this layout, and that just gives it a little bit of stability. So guys, it's okay if you make a mistake. We all make them. This is just paper. Unfortunately, this is the only sheet of this paper that I have, so I'm glad it wasn't a larger mistake, because then I would have to choose a different piece of paper. But, you know, all's well that ends well. I've got my my background matted, and now I'm gonna hold my breath while I cut this cut file, not in half, but more like a third of it off, and then I'll put the other part over. And this is kind of the way Kristen did her background. She just used a wreath of what looked like a fussy cut pattern paper and some die cuts to make her beautiful wreath that she had on her layout. And what I'm doing is I'm putting my ruler down here at the bottom so that I can get these even on the bottom. I'm usually not a stickler for it being even, but I didn't want it to be glaringly obvious that they weren't even. I'm going to trim down my 4x6 photo just a little bit because I know that my one sheet of scraps is right at 4 inches wide, so I want to make sure that I can mat this photo fully. I'm going to start with a scrap of yellow. I'm going to mat it twice, once with the yellow and then once with the blue. And I'm doing that because it really helps that photo pop. I am wearing kind of a turquoise dress, but I don't have that color in my scraps, so I'm gonna put this blue and the yellow together, and this just kind of helps make my dress pop, my photo pop. My husband's wearing a dark gray shirt. So I start out with the photo in the middle of the layout. I tuck that tag underneath. That tag is going to hold my title as an anchor. It is also going to hold my journaling. Next up, I know you can't see what I'm doing off to the side. I was taking this charm off the packaging, and I'm going to use that charm there to cover my hole. I will tie it in with some twine, probably off camera, and that'll be where my twine or where my charm goes. That is, I think that package had 3 in it, and I've used 2 others, so I wanted to just get that out of my stash and onto a layout. I'm pretty sure that Paige Evans makes these charms so that she has them for the spines of her albums, and I only know that because I took a class from her in November of last year. We made a mini album, and she had charms made specifically for that mini album. I typically don't make mini albums. I did finish that mini album, and that mini album share is on my channel if you'd like to watch it. Anyway, let's get back to this. I'm just going to be digging through these flowers. I'm kind of trying to organize them over there off to the side because I had not opened that package of floral ephemera yet. And I'm just trying to kind of get some flowers in there that don't disappear on that background. Now, I don't know if you had this collection. I love the colors in this collection, but the ephemera in this ephemera pack were just huge. And so I will cut one of them in half and use half of it on one side. I'm still trying to make up my mind what's going where here. Right now I've got 3 on each side. I think I end up with 4 on each side at the top. And I'm just going to kind of continue to play with these little bits and pieces of ephemera here. Like I said, some of these flowers are absolutely humongous. So here is where I cut one in half. Didn't realize that I was zoomed in so close and you couldn't see that I cut it in half, but I just cut it in half. I do believe I keep the one on the left, and I'm pretty sure I move the one on the right off camera because it just kind of disappears underneath that right hand side, and that's, I mean, it's okay, but I really just wanted some opposing colors on this layout. So even the floral or the leafy bits are kind of large, so I am trying to make them work, and I think I cut down that green leafy bit several times before I get it exactly the way that I want it. And again, I'm going to just kind of continue to swap out flowers until I get things looking exactly the way I want. I thought I would try to use up a lot of those foiled stickers. I end up using the leafy bit that I just stuck up under there, and then there's a smaller leafy bit that I'm going to pull off, and I'm going to stick fairly close to the same place. And I think the other foiled piece that I use from here is one of the hearts, and I'm having trouble getting them off of the backing, so I pulled it closer to my face so I could get it onto the picture. And you know, I know a lot of people don't like to put stickers or things on their pictures. It actually doesn't bother me. If I mess up a photo, I can reprint it easily enough. So, and the photographer gave me the digital files of these photos, so I'm able to go ahead and reprint as many times as I would like. And in fact, I actually cropped this photo in so that you can just see both of us from about the waist up. I want to use a couple of the phrases from the phrase stickers. At first, they end up here on the tag, but I decide to move my photo more over to the right because Christine had her photo on the right-hand side of her wreath. And I decided it would look better if I moved it over, and I will do that here in a little bit. I will move things over, and then we'll start moving things around. So here I'm going to move my photo over to the right-hand side. I'm actually going to take the stickers that I had put onto that tag off. I'm going to flip that tag upside down and move my title up on top of where it says lovely. That way that you just can't see it. And I'm going to finish filling in the basically the wreath, tucking some more flowers in behind my wood log cut file, tucking that tag just a little bit more underneath the log, and then I'm gonna go ahead and stick another flower there. That way I have flowers going all the way around that side. I'm gonna lay my charm back down, and now I'm gonna get these stickers back on here where I want them. So I put the 2 butterflies back, and I'm only kind of just barely tapping them down because I don't want them to adhere completely, because I know that I'm going to put a little bit of foam adhesive underneath those butterflies. I did end up with 3 small butterflies. There's 2 on the photo, and then there's 1 up at the top left. And I like the way that looks. So I'm going to continue to kind of play around with floral bits here. I pulled off that half of the flower. I will save that because it's great for tucking. And now I'm going to cut down that green leafy bit even more than I already had. Like I said, I think I cut it down 3 or 4 times before I get pieces that I feel are more usable. If this layout was a different, was made differently, I could use the longer bits, but because of the way that the layout is, it's just those leafy bits are just too big. So I'm just gonna kind of continue on here, tucking and playing and moving around the things until I make some decisions. I probably normally wouldn't leave this much of my process into the video, but I left all of my process into the video this time. And now I'm going to cut down the brown leafy bit a little bit, and I'm just going to start sticking some more of the leafy bits in there in between some of the flowers, just to have some more foliage in there. And I kind of like how that looks and turned out. I'm pretty happy with the way things are going. I've got those 2 phrases, and I'm going to put them back on the photo for now, but they actually end up to the right hand side of my title. You'll see that here in a second. All right, I got this layout completely done. Off camera, I went ahead and glued everything down, and I put foam adhesive under these petals so that they had a little bit of dimension underneath them a little bit. Same with the butterflies, and I also put foam adhesive under those phrases. I moved those down from up here to this empty spot on my tag. I tied my tag with some twine, but I also used some glue dots to adhere some of it down so that it would not be floating around oddly in my page protector. So pretty happy with the way that this Scraplift turned out. It's not just like Christine's, but you can definitely see that I took inspiration from her layout. Her layout is amazing, and I could have definitely Scraplifted it almost exact. I don't think I have the product that she used, but I did use one of my favorite Paige Evans collections, Bungalow Lane, and it's almost gone now, so that makes me happy, sort of. I always hate when I use up something that I really love completely, but I do have a ton of stash, and I need to start using up small collections that I have left over so that I can make room for more stuff. So anyway, I want to thank you for coming to my channel today. Make sure that you check that description box below in my video. There's a playlist there, and I list all of our YouTube channels and Instagram accounts. So if one of us isn't playing this week, I would encourage you to go over to their channel, choose one of their videos, watch it, or go to their Instagram accounts and leave them some love. In fact, you can leave us all some love on Instagram. We love hearing from you, and most of us, I think, respond pretty quickly to our comments. So I hope that you guys will have a great rest of your Sunday. Bye.